Now we're afternoon, right? 1 minute after. Good afternoon and welcome to the Safe Streets Coalition. We're glad you chose to be with us today. And as usual, we will send a YouTube link and a survey to you in a few days. But right now, if you would please take a minute and sign the sheet in the center of the table, that would be very helpful. The PAR Safe Street staff joining us today are Mandy Shikansky, she's our Executive Director, Lynn Smith, Community Prevention and Consultant, Mandy Timish, Community Education and Media Specialist, and I'm Judy Wilson, Office Manager and National Night Out Program Coordinator. So please contact any of us if we can help you in any way. The agenda today is just listed for your information. And at each meeting, we normally have a champion of character, and we don't have one today. But we would like to recognize someone, so if you know of anyone that has exhibited good character, significantly improved the health, safety, or quality of life in the community, if you would like to nominate them, there is a nomination form on the center of your table, and there are 49 different qualities that you could consider for the champion of character. Just fill in the information and email it to me at jwilson@safestreets.org, and we'll contact them and get them in to be recognized. The October minutes, again, are just shown for your information, and that way they are on the YouTube, and you can look at them at any time. They were emailed to you prior to the meeting. And our staff update for October includes neighborhood watch meetings. As you can tell, we've not had any in-person neighborhood watch meetings since the COVID variant was an uptick. But we are reaching out to all the neighborhoods by email, and also we have received a lot of phone calls. We are beginning now to schedule new neighborhood watch meetings after the first of the year, so we're hopeful that everyone will begin to meet again, even if they are new or if they have had a neighborhood watch before. We do have 143 neighborhood watches in Topeka and Shawnee County right now. And of course, with the new ones coming on after the first of the year, we hope to increase that significantly. Each month, we do send out safety information, so you should be receiving safety tips by email each month. If you have a question about any of them, be sure and let us know. I do include some of the information that our police department officers provide me, and if you have any questions, like I said, just let me know. The retailers meeting, again, they are not meeting in person, but all the information is being sent by email to the members. But even though part of us are working, I should say, a few hours at home, not in the office all the time, we still are receiving 261 emails and calls for services. And that just comes through the Safe Streets line. So you can imagine all the other calls that come in for evaluation, safety presentations, with clubs. So check out our Facebook pages. You'll see those there for any updated information. You will also see that on the Latino initiatives, they did have one meeting. Now, Irene is out working with all the different Spanish-speaking neighborhoods, but this month they just decided to have one meeting. So this will again improve as COVID declines. But there are a lot of people that do check all of our Facebook pages. So if you would do that, that would really be helpful. Today we have our Topeka Police Department Sergeant Mike Burns, I believe, will speak to us about the crime stats and give us some update on safety tips.
Thanks, Judy. I'm Sergeant Mike Burns, one of the two sergeants in Community Policing Unit for the Topeka Police Department. Going over our stats, from the difference from last month to this month, the only major violent crime category that was up was robberies to individuals. Everything else is down. And as you can see on the yearly stats, overall violent crime in the city is down. Robberies to individuals is down about 35%, and aggravated assaults and batteries are down about 10% from this time of last year, as homicides are also down. So we want to continue with those numbers. Partnerships with our citizens have been very fruitful, and we thank our citizens for helping us solve these crimes. For the property crimes, we did have a couple more auto thefts from last month to this month. I will say, as the weather gets a little bit colder, as we're experiencing, it's very easy and convenient to warm your cars up in the morning, go into a quick shop, leaving it running. Just don't do that. I know we've talked about it in the past, but we still have those individuals that are looking for that type of behavior from our citizens. And it only takes a couple seconds to hop in the car and then drive away. We do continue to see it. We just hope that we will see it minimal this winter. So just take a couple seconds to think about what's important now. And, you know, although it's convenient to have the car warm as soon as we're going to work, it's also more beneficial that you have a car. But as we can see, our city property crime is down quite a bit from this time last year, so we're hoping to continue with those numbers. Battle of the Badges. So on Tuesday, November 9th, we're going to be having a fundraiser at 4 assigned locations. The Topeka Fire Department has Skinnies, Topeka Police Department has Tortilla Jacks, Shawnee County Sheriff's has the Pad, and then the Highway Patrol has Glory Days on Gage. Nothing But Cakes, which is not affiliated with agency, is also going to be partaking. So anytime you go in there, they're going to help donate proceeds for Special Olympics Kansas. They are also running a fundraiser, which is currently online now. You can use the QR code on the presentation. It should also be on the website for Kansas Special Olympics. And then if you have any questions, concerns, or forget any of the information I just provided, you may contact Sergeant Dan Wilson here at dwilson@topeka.org, and he'll be able to give you any of the information or answer any questions that you have. They raised quite a bit of money last year. We're hoping to do the same this year. And Dan had told me that the fundraising auctions are now going through December 11th. So you got plenty of time to go in there, and it all goes to a great cause. Our flag football finished up with the championships this past weekend. So thank you for everyone who participated, supported all the kids. It's a great opportunity for law enforcement and our youth to be able to contribute to positive interactions. Officer Lister does a great job. If you ever have any questions of how to get involved or how to get kids involved with PAL, you may contact him at wlister@topeka.org. He'll be able to answer all the questions. And PAL football is very reasonable on the cost. It is quite cheap. Basketball is starting up right about now, so they transition from football straight into basketball. I believe they still may be taking teams or whatnot, so again, if you have questions about that, you may contact him directly at that email. And just one other quick safety tip. As the days are getting shorter, some of you may find that as you're getting out of work, now it's dark. So definitely take just a couple seconds to kind of look around as you're exiting your places of business. If you can leave in groups, we recommend that. Stay in well-lit areas. And then if somebody's hanging around your car, just doesn't know, just looks out of the ordinary because you haven't seen that in 6-8 months, by all means, call 911 if it's just out of place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Now we have Shawnee County Sheriff's Office Deputy Abigail Christian.
Hi, everyone. Like Judy said, my name's Abigail Christian, and I'm the Public Relations Deputy for the Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. To start, we're just going to look at a few stats. I'm not great at math, but when I look at this, I know that we are under halfway where we were at last year when it comes to burglary and theft cases. Again, that is a huge attribution to our citizens that are calling in, having security systems or other ways of reporting and seeing suspicious activity, and then just our officers out there being proactive. So thank you all. We do have an example just yesterday. The Topeka Police Department, I believe, had an aggravated robbery that happened within the city. That got reported very quickly to our 911 dispatchers, and that information was relayed to all law enforcement. And one of our sergeants was actually way out in Auburn, Kansas, and saw that vehicle, and pursuit was initiated. Lots of help from all law enforcement agencies around, including canines and air support, and that suspect was taken into custody. And that it's just a nice way to show the start of a crime all the way to a finish, or what can be a finish on our end, and then court cases will go from there. So thank you guys. Please continue to report any suspicious activity that you do see. Our next stat, we are continuing to see quite a bit of methamphetamine in our community, and so our officers are working hard to get that off the streets the best way that we can, and our numbers are continuing to rise on those arrests. Next, we have our felons in possessions of firearms. Again, we talk about this, and I know we hit it over and over again, but a lot of those firearms are getting into the hands of people that are not allowed to have them anymore because we leave them in unlocked vehicles or vehicles in general, or out and about in your home. So just try to be extra careful and take those precautions so we can make sure that those firearms stay out of the hands of those that have lost that privilege. And so far, we're up to 47 seized firearms this year, and those again are illegally seized, or legally possessed firearms that we seize to go ahead and get them out of those hands. Lastly, just a couple community events. We have an event coming up this year, Badges and Bells. We are going to work with the Sheriff's Office, obviously, Topeka Police Department, and Topeka Fire Department, and we're going to go out to Seabrook Apple Market, and our heads are going to shake those bells and try and raise some money for the Salvation Army. So that event's going to take place November 16th from 1 to 3 p.m. And then the other, I think we talked about PAL basketball. So that's going to be high school 5-on-5. It starts in January. Registration will be opening up soon, so if you guys know of anyone, if you can share that information and help get people out there. It doesn't have to be kiddos that just didn't make their high school basketball team. It could be kiddos that maybe kind of like basketball, but football's their main thing. So we're just trying to get kids involved with officers, playing sports, and having a good time. That's it. So if you guys have any questions, we do try to put out all this information on our social media. So tune into that, and we will keep you as updated as possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Abigail. Today, we have Jerry Cole with us. She's with the Shawnee County Crime Stoppers. To give you a little background of Jerry, she was born and raised here in Topeka, and she graduated from Topeka High and then Washburn University with the BA in Criminal Justice. When she was 20 and a half years old, she filled out her application to join the Topeka Police Department. After a 9-month process, Jerry was hired at the Topeka Police Department. Jerry spent time in traffic, patrol, a proactive unit called the Anti-Crime Team. Then she was promoted to corporal, all during the first 12 years of her career. After that, she was promoted to detective and spent most of the time in homicide. Jerry was in the department for 15 years. She retired from the department in 2016, and she currently sells real estate and is the Crime Stoppers coordinator for Shawnee County Crime Stoppers. Jerry also volunteers as a board member of the Topeka Police Credit Union, and she's a member of the Ward Mead Garden Club. Jerry is married to Brian Cole, and I know you probably know him because he does come to the coalition when he can. He's the director of the Shawnee County Jail. They have 3 children and 4 grandchildren. Let's welcome Jerry.
Well, hello. That was a good introduction, Judy. I want to introduce Kurt Kimberly. He is on my board. He is a professor at Washburn University, and he's one of the board members. And we are always looking for board members for the Shawnee County Crime Stoppers program. So if you guys know of anyone, please let me know that. Even though I spent time in law enforcement, one of the things that I want people to know is we are not law enforcement. Shawnee County Crime Stoppers is not law enforcement. We help law enforcement, but we are not law enforcement. So today I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an education about what Crime Stoppers is, how it works, and how the tips come in and how you can get paid and things like that. Crime Stoppers started in 1976 in Albuquerque, where a college student was shot and killed, and nobody came forward. That detective at the time ended up putting up his own money to try to get somebody to come forward. He made it completely anonymous. If somebody just came forward, I won't tell them your name, and he didn't. Somebody came forward with a tag, and the tip was, or the crime was solved, and somebody was arrested. So that's kind of where it all started. Did I go too far? Okay. Oh boy. Okay. In Topeka, we started in 1981 and have been going ever since. So this is, if you look at this is our rewards. Just this year, we've approved over $7,700 worth of rewards to pay out to tipsters. We have recovered, if you look at the property and the cash and the drugs, we've recovered $186,000 worth of property, drugs, or cash involved in crimes. And when I say we, it's not me, obviously, it's the police department. They're the ones that give me back those stats. Am I not doing it right? Okay. If you want to just do it, that's fine. How do you give a tip to Crime Stoppers? You see something, or whether you know for sure or not, how do you give a tip to Crime Stoppers? So there's 3 different ways you can do it. Number 1, the old-fashioned way, we pick up the phone and we call. That's the way I like to do things. You can also go to our website. On our website, there's several places on the website that you click and you can submit a tip on the website. And then also we have an app now that you can download the app and you can submit the tip that way. All of the tips, it's not tracked. The phone number is not, we don't have caller ID on the phone. The app itself or the website, the IP address, which I don't know much about IP addresses, but they don't track those either. So there's really no way to track who is calling in and what the tip is. Okay. If you download the app, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have a big P and it's going to have a 3 by it. Our board is trying to get what are those called? QR codes? For somebody to be able to download it that way, because I guess that's a little bit easier. But you can download it from any of your stores. When you set it up and you get it on your phone, you have the app, and that you'll get a 4-digit passcode, or you set up a 4-digit passcode so that you can get back on there and you can add to that tip, or you end up talking directly most of the time to me. But I don't know who you are. So it goes through that P3 app, and you can just go back on there to check to see, did I get a reward? or I have new information, now the car is back, and this is the tag number. You can just continually add information to the tip. If you go online and do it, this is kind of what you're going to look like right there. It's going to say submit a new tip. So you're going to just get on there, click on that, and submit a new tip. The computer will generate a password for you and a tip number, and that's how I know who you are. You are that tip number. So anytime you call in, you're that tip number, and that's the only way that I know you. When you submit the tip, this is what it's going to look like. There's just a few things that you have to put in, like where it happened and a little bit of a description so I know who to send it to. But you just go through here and just click on there and submit things, submit the information, and then it'll come to me. After you hit submit, then this is what you're going to get right here. You can see tip ID is 128-W1540. That sounds like a lot of numbers for you to try to remember. The 128 stands for Topeka, so I don't need you to necessarily remember that number. The W means it was a web tip, so the only 4 numbers that I need you to remember are the last 4 numbers right there, and that's how you're identified. Now the password, if you use it to get back on the website to add information or to check on your reward, okay? Whoops. So the deputy was talking about guns, felonies, felons having guns. We started a program called Gun Stoppers, and I have talked here about that before, where we are paying an additional $500, up to $500 for illegal guns. So if they're stolen or if they're a felon that can't have a gun and it gets confiscated, we're paying up to $500 for that. So this was the bulletin or billboard that we did. Basically, a bullet knows no boundaries. They shoot in the air or they shoot, you don't know where it's going to come down or what it's going to hit. So we want to get the guns off the streets. We also are starting something just this year is Crime Stoppers within the schools. We have one school that's participating in it right now. We just got it started. They've had 10 tips come in already. 4 of them were legitimate tips that will get a reward. So this is something new that we're starting. We're wanting to host a conference, scholastics conference for kids, and we're going to do that in April of this year. The Kansas City schools, I think I've got that on the next slide. Why doesn't it like me? Okay. Did I go too far? One more. Okay. 81% of the violence in schools, somebody other than the person that committed the violence knew about it, which blows my mind. 81%. So somebody knows, these kids know what the other kids are doing. This is what I was talking about in Kansas City. So Kansas City started this program in 2014. They have over 81 schools that participate in it. They have prevented over 15 suicides through this program, taken over 700 tips and recovered all kinds of drugs and tobacco and, just things like that. But it doesn't have to be about a crime necessarily. It's bullying or it's suicide prevention or it's, you can make it what you want it to be. And so that's what we're trying to get the schools here in Topeka to get started, is some programs like this. Whoops, was that the last one? Yeah, okay. All right, so if you have any questions, like I said, we're always looking for new board members. Kirk is on my board. He can talk to you about what it takes to be a board member. or if you have any questions about Crime Stoppers itself, I'll be glad to answer them. You want to know about payout? How I pay people? Okay, so we do it a little bit different than what some of the other, had a big USA conference where some people went and they were just, couldn't believe this, how we do it, but it's how we do it. It's kind of like a drug deal. So we go to the parking lot and I give the person the description of my car. And I say I'm a white female and I'll have a board member with me, so I describe them. And I tell them, you walk up to the passenger side, you tell them your tip number, and they hand them the cash and they walk away. And it's like a drug deal in the parking lot. So fortunately, we haven't been stopped yet, but you know, so, and that's how it is. I mean, there's no, it's cash, there's no checks. So it's pretty interesting sometimes, so. Kurt, is there anything that you want to say about what being a board member is about?
Hi, I'm Kurt Kimberly. Jerry already talked about me a little bit. I teach at Washburn University. I also retired after 29 years in law enforcement in Spokane, Washington. And sorry, I have a low voice that doesn't travel as far as it should. Sorry about that. Being a board member, this is the first time I've ever been a board member. So I was invited into the organization and went to my very first meeting, and I just sat there looking around at people, and I had no idea what I was doing there, to be honest. But once I got to know the individuals involved, what we did, it isn't just meetings and just this. We talk a great deal to community organizations. Jerry is fantastic at doing that. Thank God, because I don't prefer doing that. Standing in front of groups makes me nervous. Thanks a lot. Just kidding. What board members generally do is we try and participate on 1 to 2 different committees that support either the community and or Crime Stoppers. Right now I'm on the committee that's doing the Scholastic Crime Stoppers, and Jerry's worked very hard at this. Because I'm in education currently, this is also something that's very near and dear to me. And while I'm going through the processes that we need to get Scholastic Crime Stoppers up and running, I'm also realizing that Jerry's way ahead of, well, both me and most of the rest of us on the board with coming up with different ways of reporting. I don't know about you, but I prefer just picking up the phone and calling just like Jerry does. You talk with kids in school, and they're like, phone? You use a phone? So the app was, by the time I got started, the app was already up and running. I was impressed. The students loved that, but they also we talk with them and they come up with other things. I didn't know what a QR code was, except for that whenever it was run over a scanner, a price came up on the thing. Like, sweet, all right. Apparently that's a big thing now. All you have to do is scan that and have the app downloaded. The kids, we're working with them to bring them up to be able to understand what we do on a board, because in their individual schools, they become their own board members. They have boards just like we do. In general, being a board member on Crime Stoppers is a couple hours a month. Sometimes you're meeting, depending on what project you're working on. And once it's done, it doesn't really feel like you've put that much into it, but you really have. But it's been shared by the other members. And I think being selfless like that, giving your time, especially when it's very difficult to give that time, means a great deal to our community here, and well, now my adopted community. So Thanks for putting me on the spot there.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any questions? Okay, that's my information. If you want to reach out to me, if anybody, you know of anyone that's interested in serving on the board, or if you just have any questions at all about Crime Stoppers and didn't want to ask, so, okay? All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Now we know if we see Jerry out in a parking lot, she's not doing a drug deal. And I want to say, too, that Crime Stoppers, Jerry and Crime Stoppers is really a good support for National Night Out every year. They're a great help, and we do appreciate that. Thanks, Jerry. Is there anything else to come before our meeting today? If not, I do appreciate you attending, and as I said, you will receive a link, YouTube link, and a survey in a few days. But if you would like to go ahead and complete the survey that's on the table, that would be a great help as well. So we appreciate you coming, and we will see you here on December the 1st. Thanks so much.